A very good evening to you. Welcome to Late Night Talk. My name is Kofi Bartels. It's great to have you join us. Tonight, we have a somewhat different issue. I know the politics has been the major talking point over the past few days, but now it's not time to talk about politics because we have to turn our attention to something that is very important. You know, back in the day, we used to hear the question, the doctor and the farmer, who is more important? Back in the day, we used to hear the question, the farmer and the teacher, who is more important? The teacher and the doctor, who is more important? Well, I guess COVID-19 has given us some reason to rethink some of the answers that some had, because the doctors have been thrust at the forefront of ensuring that we live, you know, where they say life is important and health is wealth. So we take doctors' issues, health issues, very important in the media, especially on Late Night Talk. That's why from time to time, we bring doctors on this program to talk about issues concerning them. Medical workers have been at the forefront of the fight against COVID-19, and I have one of them here with me on the line today as guest on Late Night Talk. You're welcome. My name is Kofi Bartels. For those of you who have not heard already, the Association of Resident Doctors have said that they have embarked on a nationwide strike to press home their demands for improved welfare and working condition. I'm glad to say I have the president of the Association of Resident Doctors, the University of Port Harcourt, or is it River State? Mr. Dr. Amaury Solman, good evening to you.
Good evening, Kofi.
Yes.
How are you, sir?
Very fine, thank you. And how are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay. So, is this, I believe this is a nationwide strike. I mean, for those who do not know, can you just confirm that?
Yes, of course.
Okay. We're hearing that you're pressing home, you're trying to press home your members' demand for improved welfare and working conditions. Can you break that down for us?
Okay. We had a meeting last weekend as a nation. All the resident doctors had a meeting. We had representatives from each chapter. Mm-hmm. I represented UPTH. We sent out a communique which had a lot of demands. The communique is all on the media. Mm-hmm. In the highlight of the communique, the first demand is that government should provide personal protective equipment for us.
Personal protective equipment for the doctors. Where is
yes,
okay.
Yes, and that is very important. There is a place for improved hazard allowance, payment of skipping arrears and arrears that are owed doctors, and other things in the communique. The communique is open on the media, and if you check out, you will find them.
Okay, all right. This isn't the first time the Association of Resident Doctors has gone on strike. I mean, we've lived through different presidents and different seasons. In fact, even from way back in time, that's how the ARD became very popular. You've been demanding for the rights of resident doctors. Why now? And I'm sure you understand what I mean by why now. Why now?
Because there is COVID-19. That's what you're saying.
Okay.
What? Why now? You're asking why now because
yes.
Of the global pandemic, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's even important that we do it now because, like I said, the first demand is that we should be protected.
That's the first demand.
That's the first demand.
Okay.
We can't be asking to be protected if there were no COVID-19. So that demand wouldn't have come. And that demand is on high.
Okay.
Because that has to do with saving the life of a doctor. Okay. So the fact that there is COVID-19 this period calls for the demand and also calls for the strike because we have asked for these things and the federal government have been unable to give us. Kofi.
Okay. So you're saying that whilst people are wondering, people are asking, why are you going on strike now? The Nigerians need the doctors. We don't even have enough doctors, and the Ministry of Health is having to recall doctors that had earlier been sacked, and even to call back doctors out of retirement. And you are choosing this time to go on strike. You're saying that this is the right time to go on strike. Is that what you're saying, Dr. Amadi?
I am not saying that this is the right time to go on strike, Kofi. There is no right time to go on strike. Even going on strike is not very good with me. I don't like it.
You don't like strikes?
But when it has to, yes. But when it has to do with staying alive or not staying alive, Kofi, the both of us will understand that if I go to work and I don't get protected, I might get COVID-19. As I'm speaking with you now, more than 10 of our doctors are in isolation centers.
Okay, working, being treated.
Being treated for COVID-19, and simply because there were no personal protective equipment, and then these doctors got infected. And one of them, I was told this night, is in a very critical condition. We pray that she doesn't die, but then our demand is clear that we should get personal protective equipment. They should get personal protective equipment for us so that we can go to work and stay alive. Kofi.
Okay. So you're saying that this is the best time. Dr. Amadi, it seems you're maybe in the line of a fan or an air conditioner. If you could just step aside from there for a while. Thank you. So you're saying that this is the best time for you as a resident doctor to go on strike because you're striking for one of the demands is for personal protective equipment from the government, and therefore that makes this the right time to go on strike.
I never said there was a right time. I said instead of us to go to work and die, it's better we ask for it now, get it now, and get to work and save more people. That's my point, Kofi.
Okay. So, have you explored other avenues to get your demands met apart from striking before now?
You know, striking is not always the first thing people do, especially when you're demanding for strike. You go and dialogue with the federal government. Unfortunately, Kofi, both of us know that our federal government, the only language they hear is strike. Once you call for strike, they start acting on something you have been asking for years. So I'm not surprised that we've been asking them since the beginning of March up till now, and they are not giving us. And now we go on strike, they are running around to see if they can raise something. So it's more of sincerity insincerity on the federal government that is bringing all the strikes.
Okay. It seems to me, but for those of you who are watching us from on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, well, we're not on Twitter tonight, but from around the world, please feel free to drop your comments. We're asking for your thoughts on this strike embarked on by resident doctors all over Nigeria. We're not just talking about the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital at this time. We're looking at strike by resident doctors all across the country. And our guest tonight is the president of the Association of Resident Doctors, University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. His name is Dr. Amaury Solman, and he's given reasons why they have embarked on the strike. Of course, he's rightly said that a communique was released by the association nationwide, in River State as well as all over the media. They had a press conference, I believe, on Wednesday. Am I right, Dr. Amadi?
Yeah.
Yes, and this is when you released that press statement. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you can drop your comments if you're watching right now. Do you think this is the right time for resident doctors to go on strike? We have economic issues piled up on our health issues, and now social issues as well, with insecurity in the country piling on top of that, and we don't even have enough doctors to take care of the populace. The federal government is having to recall, sack doctors, call them back and employ them, because we are understaffed. We are short of doctors in the country. Even those who've retired are being called out of retirement. Based on what our guest today, the president of the Association of Resident Doctors, is saying, is this the right time that the doctors go on strike? Drop your comments in the comment section. Dr. Amadi, it's what are the other issues you're striking for? I heard you say apart from PPE, there's some other matters.
Yes. One of them is some centers are being owed salary arrears. Like in UPTH, there are some resident doctors that are owed salary arrears of up to 5 months.
Okay.
Some skipping arrears that have been paid, that have been slated since, have not been paid. Another issue is the issue with the state parity in terms of remuneration with doctors in state. We also want to address that during the strike. So there are other issues. The issue of JOS have been resolved. Some resident doctors were illegally sacked in JOS, and he made part of the demand, but that has been settled. Now, some of the demands have been met, but most of them are still hanging. We are hoping that from tomorrow we will get a green light.
Okay. Dr. Amadi, you're sounding to me like the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, ASUHU, when they have a grievance with the government, federal government, over some salary issue, payment, remuneration, would say, oh, we are striking on behalf of the students. Oh, we want better teaching equipment. Oh, we're striking because we want better facilities for students. Then in between, like a sandwich, they now have their main demands, which are money related, or some promotion. Of course, promotion is related to money. So you've thrown up PPE as the first thing, personal protective equipment, and that doesn't sound selfish, because you need these personal protective equipment to be able to attend to patients of the coronavirus. Of course, if all the doctors die of COVID-19 or are ill, God forbid, but if they are down with COVID-19, who is going to take care of the rest of us? We need all of you to be well taken care of and protected. And I agree with all your grievances, all of them, trust me, all of them. But it sounds a bit like the PPE is just a sprinkling. But the real issues are, this is the right time. I'm asking, this is the right time to just, now or never, let's demand for hazard allowance. Hazard allowance is part of the coronavirus issue. Let's demand for the other allowances that are being owed us. Let's demand for the salaries that are being owed. Let's demand for parity with state doctors. let's demand that the sacked doctors in Jos be recalled. Those are in the majority. What do you say to that?
Okay, Kofi, I understand what you're talking about. The problems are the problems. The truth is that when you go to the government and say, okay, sort this one problem out, there are some people that are owed salary arrears, they will not take you serious, okay? And then they will pile it after 2 years. When something major that requires strike comes, you now add those ones to see if you can persevere them to sort them out. But the major issue here is the COVID-19, and that we cannot leave aside. Ordinary that we could actually call for strike if you're not giving us PPE. So we have that as a strikeable arrangement, and now we add all these other ones too, because there are demands that have been there. We've been asking for it. The salary parity, we've been asking for it for almost 1 year. The arrears, UPTH only since May last year. We've been asking for it. What again? Doctors being victimized and sacked unnecessarily. We've been shouting and agitating for them. So when you see this kind of windows, you might want to say, okay, why don't we add all this our problem that the government has refused to sort out? You should understand clearly that it's as a result of insincerity with government that is making these demands sound like they are plenty and they are selfish.
So are you telling me, Dr. Amaury Solman, are you telling me with all sincerity that if the federal government provides you all the personal protective equipment in the world, you go back?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
that if the federal government provides what?
All the PPE, personal protective gear or equipment in the world to doctors, that you are going to go back to the hospital?
Kofi, I can't remember telling you that the only problem is personal protective equipment. I told you that there are other things attached to it. So when we go on strike, we have what we call minimum demand that can be met. So if the government meets the minimum demand, then we'll call off the strike. And I can assure you that the PPE is one major one on the minimum demand. Sometimes this is not the first time we're going on strike. Sometimes we bend, and I can assure you, once we bend now, in 2 years' time, we'll still put those things in the list, because the government will just ignore it and make it feel like you are just stupid.
Oh, so are you actually admitting that this is like an opportune time, now that everybody's in need? Now the government needs the doctors more than ever before.
Kofi, when you try to make it look like there is a time to this thing.
No, I'm asking you. You said that even if government gives you all the PP in the world, you won't call off the strike, which means the other things like the salaries and arrears that are being owed, parity in terms of pay with doctors in state employed.
That is what I was trying to tell you. Before you embark on a strike, you have minimum demand. That once the government meets it, you call off the strike. So once the government is able to meet the minimum demands, definitely we will call off the strike.
What are the minimum demands? Since it's not just about the PPE, which is like a public service thing. So what are the minimum demands then?
I had mentioned 3.
Okay, these ones you've mentioned.
They are among the minimum demand. The minimum demands are 6. We also made it available to the press. So you just look for our last communique.
Yeah, I will look for it. I will look for it. I'll look for it.
Okay, sir.
But basically, are the minimum demands for you in UPTH the same as the minimum demands nationwide?
The minimum demand nationwide is one. We all agreed that we are going to have a minimum demand nationwide. There are 6 items, and once the federal government is able to create that balance, hit the balance, then everybody will go back to work.
Okay. Okay, interesting. I would like to go to a comment. We're going to come back to this issue, Dr. Amadi, because we're not through. But I'd like to read some comments coming through from those who are watching online. And I'd like to say good evening to all of you who are joining us. Thank you very much for your time. This is Late Night Talk. My name is Kofi Bartels. And today we have on the hot table the issue regarding the Association of Resident Doctors nationwide, National Association of Resident Doctors strike that is threatening to cripple health activities and healthcare in Nigeria, because the resident doctors are a very integral and important part of a healthcare system in Nigeria. Thoughts are welcome. Our guest tonight is the president of the Association of Resident Doctors at the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital, Dr. Amaury Solman. On Facebook, we have these comments coming through. Good evening to you, Paula Wakaji. Good evening to you, AJ Aaron. Good evening to you, Mr. Israel Berbera. He says, I think they're right. They have to be protected so they can protect us. Emmanuel Ogbudu says, God bless you, Mogre. Thank you very much. Chiwendu Ayuba Merengwa says, the doctors can only work when they are alive and not when they die. So this is the right time to demand for the government to meet with their demands. They need to stay alive in order to work. Chiwendu, thank you very much. Irene Obuzo, good evening to you. Nice to see you, Irene. He says, I'm happy this PPE unavailability matter is finally being addressed. I raised these concerns during the call-in show on Nigerian for 2 weeks ago and mentioned that these items are available in the international market. All the government needs to do is to procure them for health workers to utilize. Finally, the matter is being taken up nationally. She has a check sign there. Aaron Abuzo, thank you very much for your comment there. B.A. Briggs, who incidentally is also a medical practitioner, says, no time is wrong to get things to be done right. I support the strike. That's the only language the government in Nigeria understands. Should doctors be demanding for PPEs during a pandemic like this? Should doctor salaries be cut, as is the case with Kaduna at a time such as this? Should doctors be begging for increase in hazard allowance? Should doctors be begging for their lives to be insured, considering the number of health workers infected with COVID-19 and dying from the disease? We should shut down for years if need be. Or should we shut down for years if need be? Look at the members of the PTF. They put on N95 face mask, maybe even 3M. Doctors in the hospital don't even have surgical masks. I was at RSUTH. I saw doctors putting on cloth mask in a tertiary hospital. That's an aberration. I support the strike 100%. Dr. Madi, are the ARD in RSUTH also part of the strike?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
You can call Dr. Sokolo.
Okay.
Josephine Sokolo. She will tell you more.
Okay. All right. Agbozi Doke says, hello, Kofi. This is a very wrong timing for any reason. Nobody should go on strike, please. Israel Madu says, hi, Kofi. Good evening. Our government is irresponsible and should have vetted the strike. What does it take to provide a PPE? Does the government want doctors to die for their failure? Nobody can drive a car without valid doctors' documents or driver's license, but they want doctors to work without PPE. I want to appeal to the doctors to let go their other demands and receive the PPE, then resume. May God bless them. Dr. Madi, so coming back to this issue, one of our viewers here, Israel Madu, says, when and if you receive the PPE alone, go back to work. That's why I asked you, if you are given all the PPE in the world by the federal government, would you go back to work? And you said until your minimum demands are met, which you've stated. So obviously, what this viewer is saying can't come to pass, where he says, collect the PPE if it's given to you and go back to work. Is that possible?
Kofi, I'm sure the viewer that said that probably may have received all his last year's salaries. And someone working in UPTH did not receive 4 months of those salaries. And they also have families. Part of our demand is the arrears should be paid. You can't put only PPE on isolation, even if it's the major thing we are asking for. The question I keep asking when I go on air like this is why is it that people prefer to target the doctors instead of asking the federal government questions? The question is, how will they define the fact that National Assembly is being renovated with as much as, they said, 127 billion, and then to provide personal protective equipment for most tertiary institutions will not even cost up to 20 billion. And to get rid of all these plenty demands, if you call 20 billion with personal protective equipment, it will just overrun all the demands. We should ask our government questions. Why are you not addressing these issues? Is it that the entire public wants us to keep going to work, and then one day we will go to work for a whole year and we will not be paid salaries? These things are the irregularities that we should ask the federal government, and they should answer us critically. If they did their job the right way without being greedy about it, we wouldn't be talking about all those other demands. Kofi.
Okay, interesting. So basically what you're saying, Dr. Amadi, is even if you get the PPE, you're not going back.
I talked about minimum demand.
Yes, you said that already. Okay, let's read some more comments on our Facebook. We'll check YouTube later. This one says, okay, Israel Madu, thank you very much. Israel Madu, so I think you have your answer there. Damia Teoreko Siman, good evening to you. Thanks for joining in. Glad to know you're there watching us this evening. Damia says, provide personal protective equipment for them. They have to stay alive to work. Well, Damia, I'm sorry, but our guest tonight has let us know that it's not just about the personal protective equipment. Other demands, which are termed minimum demands, have to be met. And Nachi Iblam Kelechi says, good evening, Kofi. Okay, I'll just take that as a good evening. So that's what you're saying. Ipaga AB says, the resident doctors are right. The government is clueless. For God's sake, what is the allowance and the PPEs the government cannot provide? God help us in this century in this country called Nigeria. Interesting. Please keep your comments coming through on Facebook. And of course, if you're on YouTube, I'll be very much interested in reading your comments as well. So feel free to send your comments in to us on YouTube as well. Unfortunately, not on Facebook tonight, on Twitter rather tonight, because of one or two technical hitches, but we'll sort that out with time. And of course, we'll be very, very ready to read and interact with you when that time comes. Okay, my guest tonight is the president of the Association of Resident Doctors at the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. His name is Dr. Amaury Solman, and he's here to answer questions on the strike embarked on by resident doctors in the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital and, of course, nationwide. Dr. Amadi, since you've said that, even if you're giving all the PPE in the world, you're not going back to work until certain minimum demands are met. Wherein lies, what's the place and the role of the humanitarian? And I know you've heard this a thousand times. Let me land. No, a thousand times. Let me just land. Because I'll ask it a different way. Where is the humanitarian aspect of the medical profession? Now, you've been asked this question many times. I've asked countless. I've asked almost all your predecessors that I've met before, because they've always gone on strike, right from Danjuma Prince to the other ones, even to the lady who was there. This time is a different time, Dr. Amadi. This time is a time when the whole world is coming together. This time is a time when humanity is being seen on a different level. So it's each man for himself, God for us all, but each man who has something should help the others. For instance, we are not saying government has to provide everything, and if government doesn't provide, well, that's government's duty. People are going out of their way to give food, to give clothes, to give health equipment, even to the government, because they know that these times are desperate times that call for desperate measures. Now, the government is not living up to its responsibility. We agree with you that you deserve the personal protective equipment. You deserve hazard allowance. You deserve to be insured before you work in such dangerous times. Because if you leave, what's going to happen to your family? You deserve to be paid your arrears. You deserve to be given a salary at par with your colleagues at the state level. Those who have been sacked unjustly deserve a voice, and some people to fight for them so they can come back. But I'm saying that the times we're in calls for a lot of sacrifice. Shouldn't you be factoring that into your activities to say, if we abandon Nigerians now because of government, Nigerians will suffer. Let's lay down our benefits and sacrifice for Nigerians.
Okay, Kofi, I feel this is actually a blackmail. You know why I feel it's a blackmail?
Wait, hold on. You said that. What's the blackmail, sir?
This is more like, I didn't say it's strictly a blackmail. It's more like a blackmail. Why I said that?
The question I'm asking.
Because you know why I said that?
Go on.
You already know the solution to the problem.
I do.
Now you are leaving. Yes, you know that the solution to the problem is for the federal government to, in their budget, include these things, release monies for these things, and make these things possible.
So you are accusing me of blackmailing you right here?
No. I said it's like a blackmail.
Okay.
So you already know the solution. Now you want to cut corners by now telling the doctors, oh, you are not doctor. You are supposed to have a human conscience. I'm not having that human conscience to look at these people with COVID-19.
You're accusing me of cutting corners. I just asked you a question.
That's exactly what you're doing. But Kofi, in that light, looking at it from your perspective, this strike is not actually total shutdown, because the COVID-19 isolation centers all over the country are open. So in UPTH, the COVID-19 isolation center and the treatment center is still open, and resident doctors are there working. But you should address issues by telling people that are supposed to make things work to make them work.
So are you saying that we have more doctors in Nigeria than are needed? That the situation is not overwhelming? Because I heard the Minister of Health saying that they're going to recall sacked doctors. They're recalling doctors who are retired and all that. We need more doctors to be able to take care of the situation. And you are saying no, we have more than enough. What about those who?
There is something we call in medicine. There is something we call insight in psychiatry, and I'm sure you understand it. I think it's common grammar. Insight is when you're unable to identify your environment, what is happening around your environment, and what is happening within you, and that's what the government is lacking.
Okay.
They don't, or maybe they already know and they don't want to project it to the populace. The truth is that a country of 200 million with barely about 70,000 doctors.
Okay.
No. We are I say 70,000, 30,000 doctors. We are barely surviving. So, but with these 30,000 doctors, they should be able to strike out their demands easily, like meet them so easy, so that these doctors can work very hard. Let me give you a story. In UPTH, between September and December, I worked in a unit they call the neurosurgery. The neurosurgery is all about head and spine. Okay?
Yeah. Nerve.
I was in the hospital for 3 months. I did a call in the hospital for 3 months. What it means is that I worked from morning till morning for 3 months. I slept only when I couldn't stand for 3 months. And at the end of the day, relationship with my friends is totally gone. My family does not see me, and then they don't also see money because I'm also being owed. You understand? And then you look at this situation, and now you're telling me that we should continue being sympathetic with the government while I'm working.
Dr. Amadi, I'm not asking. I'm not asking you. I'm not asking.
I'm coming.
Hello, Dr. Amadi. I'm not asking you to be sympathetic with the government. No, I'm not oblivious to the difficulties in the health sector. No, I've had opportunity to discuss matters even with the isolation ward before COVID-19 came, before Ebola came, before Lassa fever came in UPTH, and the way that place was, and they were calling me names and all that. I'm saying that be sympathetic towards the people in this season. I'm not saying don't be sympathetic toward government, please. No.
See, once we say
my heart goes out to you for the difficulties that you're all facing. I have friends who are in the health sector, and I really, really feel sorry for what you're going through, because you're doing great work in a very difficult environment. So we acknowledge it. We appreciate what you do. But I'm saying, what about the people now? How are they going to be able to make it through this period when they need you?
Why, Kofi, you should understand that why I even work like that is because it's not because that is how I'm supposed to work. I'm supposed to at least do at most do calls 3 times a week. Okay, at most 3 times a week. But here I was being called day in, day out for 3 months, non-stop. I did not sleep at home
every day for 3 months.
For 3 months, Kofi, I can tell you that the earliest I slept for those 3 months was 1 a.m. and by around 5 they will still wake you between that 1 a.m. till 5 a.m. They will be calling you, but you can't stand, and you just know that you can't stand. And then by 5 a.m. you want to go and see that patient that they were calling you. Or Kofi, the sacrifice is just too much, even while everything is on, because we don't have enough doctors. And now you are now saying on top of that, we should not be paid adequately. We shouldn't have insurance. We should not have anything, even if we are being paid.
I never said you should not have insurance. Dr. Amadi, what I'm saying, what I was asking you is this. I started by saying, see, I understand the difficulties that the doctors and health professionals in Nigeria are going through. Enormous, and we all really look forward to a time when, and we want the government to solve these things, and we don't want you to go easy on the government. All I'm saying is that in this particular season, is it possible to not look at it as you doing government a favor, but look at it as you doing the people a favor? If you could do that 3 months ago, or some time ago, go to work for 3 months consecutively, day in, day out on call, morning to morning, without going home, seeing your family, this is even more of a time to be available to help out, because we have a crisis on our hands, and you have every reason to be given all you desire, every reason to be given all you're asking for. But what I'm saying is that because of the inability or failure of government to do the right thing, you're suffering, and we the people will suffer. So is there a place for sacrifice? Say, this time now is an unusual time. Let's do what our friends around the world, even in the best countries in the world, like the United States of America, and even the best cities in America, like New York City, where they run out of PPEs, to still try and look for innovative ways to just keep serving people, because you are needed at this time. Otherwise, people will die.
Okay, Kofi, have you taken your time in this recent, COVID-19 period to go and see what is happening in the UPTH?
I've advised myself against going there for now.
They barely bring anything. They even told us that we should use Ankara mask. I will send you a picture.
They told you that?
At some point, yes.
Who told you that?
Mask. Sir.
Yes, sir.
Just go to UPTH and find out.
No,
there was even a time that we didn't even have in the theater. They barely just give us theater mask. Barely. I took a picture sometime in March when in the middle of the night they call me for a surgery, and then I go around. This was happening around 4 a.m. And then I go, and all I wanted to start the surgery was a mask. And I did not get to have a mask to start a surgery, an emergency surgery that I had to wake up by 4 a.m. to go and carry out. And then at the end of the day, I had to use a gauze to cover my mouth because I really yes, gauze like bandage. Is like gauze, what they used to
like bandage.
To dress wound.
Yes,
like bandage to cover my face, because for us that time we have to stop what is happening to the patient. So the job on its own is a sacrifice. On its own, it's sacrifice enough, because no place in the world where you get that kind of slavery, trust me, Kofi, no place in the world where you get that kind of slavery. And yet, we just ask for this small thing. We are not asking for another thing. We are just asking for the salaries that come out of this suffering. And somebody tells me that the salaries they will pay next month, and then they will say again, we will pay the other month. They will say again, we will pay the other month. And then we say, give us mask. They will tell you, okay, just go and look for your mask and come to work. Everybody on your own. Oh, Kofi, you should talk to meet these government officials. Ask them critical questions. You see their convoys, you see them carry N95 that is meant for the hospital men. Just ask them questions. Ask them questions. Leave the innocent doctors. We're just trying to protect ourselves. Kofi.
How many months' salaries are being owed the resident doctors? I don't know if it's in River State Loan or UPTH.
I am saying for UPTH,
UPTH.
Last year, some people are still being owed up to 4 months.
From last year?
From last year.
Who in UPTH told you to use Ankara as mask?
Kofi, you want to bring controversy in this?
No. This is online. We have a very limited audience. I just want you to tell me, please.
Why don't we keep that aside?
No. I'd like to know. This is just
I'm giving you a scenario
because you're trying to convince people and get the public to come.
If you want me to send you the picture of that early morning, I can send it to your WhatsApp. People can see.
Yeah, but I mean, the person has a name. It is not a big deal, because this is something that.
Are you serious?
No, this is something that needs to people need to be aware. I mean, you're not broadcasting it to the medical fraternity. These are Nigerians who can even support your cause. Dr. Amadi, who in UPTH asked you to use Ankara mask?
Kofi, the truth is that I'm just sending you the picture of that incident that night.
Okay. On WhatsApp?
I'm just on WhatsApp. I'm just sending you the picture.
Okay, I'm looking out for it.
Those are my pictures.
Okay. Okay, is it the Gauze incident?
Yes,
okay.
You will see it.
Okay.
You will see it.
Okay.
What can be worse than that?
I'm going to show. Can I show this to my viewers? Hello?
Kofi, you're making this thing controversial. Okay, fine.
Okay.
The one with my consultant in it, you don't have to show them.
Oh, okay. No, this is just the one with you in it. But so you said someone told you to wear Ankara mask, and
Kofi,
that is.
Don't you think I can? Do you think I can answer that question now?
I think you can, because it's a grave one, really. If anybody...
go and find out in UPT. They will tell you.
Oh,
there
no.
was the time they did that.
Oh, really? Okay.
They said that.
I believe you.
You.
I believe you. It's just that it's unbelievable. It's very sad. Let me say.
If you look at the picture I sent to you, you are supposed to know that it's unbelievable.
It really is. It's really sad. I am going to show this to people who are watching right now, so that they can also have a view. What happened to the Jack Ma donation? Let's start from there. Of medical equipment and PPEs and all that. Did you?
That quantity is quite small for a nation like Nigeria.
Okay. So nothing came to UPTH.
Sir?
You say nothing came to UPTH?
Some came when they are very critical cases that you are sure that this is COVID-19.
Yes.
They bring them out. But they are not out. Most of these patients, how the doctors get involved and contact it is these patients will come like normal patients that we normally see before now. And then the doctor will just dive in, thinking that he wants to just save the patient at that, and then boom, he gets COVID-19.
In River State, how many doctors? Because one of my doctor friends, Dr. I think Dr. B.A. Briggs, who is even watching right now, told me of that his friends at the Alikahia Stadium had gotten, COVID-19. So we're looking at
Kofi.
Yeah, I said. So how many doctors are
from our last count? Because recently they were talking about the results taking longer time. There are some people who they took their samples some time ago and then they haven't really brought out the results. So, but the last time they were more than 10 for UPTH.
That's really sad. That's really sad. You can see Dr. Amadi wearing what we call gauze. Some people call it bandage, but that's the white kind of bandage that is used in dressing wound. It's really sad that you had to use this as is this UPTH?
Yes, that's UPTH.
That's really sad. Really sad indeed. Really sad indeed. Okay, let's go over to Facebook and later YouTube and read some comments. I really wish you were on Twitter tonight, but we're not. Our guest tonight is Dr. Amaury Solman, President of the Association of Resident Doctors, who has tried very hard to convince me that indeed the doctors need to go on strike at this time, even though we need them more than ever before. I hope you're enjoying the program, and I hope you're also following the points that he's making. Your comments are welcome on the stream you're watching on. If it's on YouTube, comment there. If it's on Facebook, comment there. But please share this post so that others who are on your timeline can benefit from what we do over here. Damiete, okay, I think I've read your message as well. Ipaga AB, I think I've read your message. B.A. Briggs is back. Says Kofi, our doctor is not part of humanity, so we should die trying to save others. We have an irresponsible government that never makes sacrifices for the good of the nation. Otherwise, we won't be where we are. Constance Allison, thank you, B.A. Briggs. Dr. B.A. Briggs. Constance Allison says, Solo, it is important, maybe this is one of your colleagues, it is important to remember that you signed to save souls, but notwithstanding, the government should make things good for you guys. Dr. Solomon Amadi, what do you say to that?
I didn't quite understand what he said, sir.
He said that you signed to save souls. I'm reading his words verbatim. He said you signed to save souls.
Save souls. We have been saving souls. I will still save souls. It's our job. That's what we do. But we can't die saving souls. There will not be people that will save souls if you die. Kofi.
Okay. Another one here. This is sent in by Constance. Okay, Constance, I've read your message. Success Ador says, let the government treat medical doctors well so they can care for over 2 million Nigerians. AB George Apangolo says, Kofi, can see why our doctors are going abroad for greener pastures. Can you imagine a government that does not care about the health of its citizens? I don't blame the doctors. They have families too. The government should please do the needful to meet with the doctors' requirements. Irene Obuzo is back. She says, use of Ankara masks in UPTH is as rampant as can be. It is not a secret, please. It was even provided officially to the health workers
to use. Can you read that again, please? The Irene Obuzo, please. Please, can you read it again?
Oh, my God. Okay. Irene Obuzo says, use of Ankara masks in UPTH is as rampant as can be. It is not a secret, please. It was even provided officially to the health workers to use. I mean, so Solomon, if someone in the hospital hierarchy says, okay, well, since federal government is not bringing, PPE for you, let's get this one. Let's get a local one first to start with. Would you want to blame the person? Would you want to blame the person?
Sounds very funny because that does not protect you anyway.
It doesn't protect you in any way.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you mean? Because I mean that's what a lot of people are using.
See, there is a difference between someone attending to COVID-19 patients and someone on the street just walking around. Do you understand? Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear loud and clear.
There is difference between someone sitting before a patient with COVID-19. You know that this patient has got symptoms that are similar to those of COVID-19, and then you still go and treat the person. And someone on the street just wearing mask just to protect himself from getting the disease from someone passing. They are two different things. The patient will cough and cough on your face. So the viral load you're going to get is far more than somebody walking on the street. And so you need a maximum protection when you have to attend to your patient, not Ankara.
But of course, the PPEs are not the only issues. Just want to remind those who are watching, there are also issues of allowances, payment of salaries. They've been owed since last year. They also want to be paid. Tell us about this parity with state doctors. What's up with that?
What did you say, sir?
Oh, okay.
Hello,
tell us about one of your demands, which is parity with state doctors. What's up with that?
Okay. We just believe that doctors should all in the same cadre should be they should be paid the same, whether they are in state or they are in federal establishment. So here, what happens is someone in federal establishment that is lower than, let's say, a registrar in federal establishment can actually be getting what a senior registrar in state hospitals get. So you get that disparity. It's really not good. So we want all the states to pay the doctors what the federal government are paying to the doctors in their cadre.
Are you saying federal doctors earn higher than doctors in state employ?
Definitely.
Oh, okay. I thought state doctors earn higher than federal government employ.
Federal earn more.
Oh, really? So those of you in UPTH are earning more than those in RSUTH?
Yes, of course.
Okay, sorry, I confused it before now. So can you then understand why people are saying your strike is a bit selfish, because you are also striking for your money now that lives are at stake?
Really? Ask the person if he received his salaries for last year and how it's going to be with his family when he does not receive his salary for 1 month.
Some people have not received salaries in Nigeria. Many people are now going to, most of those who have not received salaries are still going to work.
Kofi, the kind of work we do.
But this is not about salary. This is about parity of pay.
I earlier said that for the pay, we just want everybody to earn in the same cadre, to earn the same, at the same level. So
people may not understand why you're choosing this COVID-19 time to strike for government to pay doctors the same.
This is one of the things we've been asking for the past 6 years.
Why now? Why now? Why are you striking now?
Kofi, I can tell you that if federal government does not do attend to this demand, in 5 years' time, you will still hear about it.
Oh, so are you saying that COVID-19 is now its own? This is the right time to go on strike so that you can get more money from the federal government?
Do you know this demand? I remember the last strike. He was even part of it too.
Okay, but it seems Dr. Amadi, you said something. You said if you don't go, no. I'm just echoing. I'm reflecting the views. No.
And then
no, sir, no. I am merely reflecting the. I'm not trying to make.
Like they are brilliant.
No.
And they are insensitive.
I'm not saying that. I'm just asking you mere questions, Dr. Amadi, and I'm just reflecting what people are thinking out there. I have to think because people aren't calling in right now. I have to think about all sides of the angle. I'm sure saying you said your words, Dr. Amadi, your words. You said if they don't pay you now, they will not pay you later. It's like Super Eagles who went for the World Cup, and just before one of the matches, they said we are striking.
Some years back, I just told you that we were on strike some years back, and the members of the public said, "Okay, please, can you go back to work? Please, can you go back to work?" And we left the demand.
And you went back
to work.
Why did you go back to work, Dr. Amadi? Why did you go back to work? Because of what people were saying then, just like you're saying now. So what was it about? What was it about what people were saying then that moved you to go back to work?
Everybody is saying, please be passionate about your job.
Okay.
Be considerate with the federal government. They are going to try and.
So was it that you felt people really needed you?
All the time, people need doctors. There is never a time.
Okay.
Because this is COVID-19 period, you think tomorrow you will not need doctors.
No, so why now? Now that we have this thing called coronavirus, a pandemic, pandemic is a medical word. Pandemic, and you're saying that the doctors, if they don't get their money now, they pay parity in payment now, they will never get it. So in a pandemic, you're saying is opportune time for doctors to go on strike. That's what you said. That this
Kofi,
is the best time.
I think the grammar is actually making it look like it's something.
Please help me out.
Bigger than normal. The fact that we don't have a cure for COVID-19 does not make it too superior. Because in Rivers State, how many COVID-19 patients do we have?
Oh, are you saying COVID-19 is not a threat?
Calm down, Kofi.
No,
I said we don't have a cure for it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
But we have 600 patients in Rivers State that have COVID-19. That have had COVID-19 in the last 3 months. Okay. And I can assure you, if you know the number of patients that have gone through the hospital for different things, I can tell you it is 100,000 times more than that. So let's not make it look like because of COVID-19, you have to go back to work. When we had already given concession,
but now the whole thing is getting worse. We're having the curve going up. We are in the midst of the community spreading phase, where this thing is now ravaging like wildfires on the streets. Sorry, sir.
For COVID-19 patients.
Okay, but
we have concession. Our doctors are treating COVID-19 patients because of the peculiarity. Our doctors are in the hospital. If you have a patient with COVID-19, take him to the hospital. They will treat him.
What about people whose conditions may have worsened because of maybe high blood pressure based on fear of what's happening around? Maybe they have economic issues may force them. People who don't have COVID-19 are having conditions now too as well, and they need help. And the economy is that bad, they can't afford private hospitals.
Kofi, these things will never end. So far as we are alive, we will keep treating these things. But the truth is that we will have to first stay alive for us to treat these things. Don't forget that the center of this, why all these things are coming into play, is because of one major thing. And we discussed it in the first place. If you cannot provide ordinary personal protective equipment, what can you even provide for your country?
But it's not just about PPE, like you said.
PPE is the center
you said also pay. PPE
is the center of most of the demand.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay. I want to read some comments, and then we'll come back to another issue, which I'm sure you are well aware of, and which I'm sure you like to comment on. But I think we all agree that our doctors are doing a great job, and they've sacrificed a lot for us here in Nigeria, and they need all the help and the support that they can get. B. Briggs is trying to call in. We'll take a call, B. Briggs, in a jiffy when we allow our guest, Dr. Amadi, go. Irene Obuzo is back. She says any visitor to UPTH will see health workers using cloth masks, even though the WHO has emphatically says cloth masks should not be used in healthcare settings. B.A. Briggs says, can I call him, please? We'll take a call shortly. Dr. Amadi, another one before we go. You said resident doctors in UPTH are on strike.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Guardian or Vanguard, June 15, 2020, headline: COVID-19. Resident doctors in UPTH pull out of nationwide strike. I read.
That is
Sorry, sir.
Guardian.
Sorry, sir. I'm coming.
Okay.
Let me just also read it before you can respond. Resident doctors in University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital on Monday pulled out of the strike embarked upon by the National Association of Resident Doctors. Let's go on. It says Dr. Samuel Amay, the chairman of ARD UPTH, told newsmen that the branch will not join the strike. According to him, the association with over 500 doctors decided against joining the industrial action called by its national body due to its concern over rising cases of COVID-19 in Rivers State. Now, Dr. Amadi Solman, I have never in my time in Rivers State seen ARD have two factions. I know Dr. Amay very well. I may have met you before because I've been around UPTH a lot, but I'm not sure. What's going on?
Okay, this part I tried to avoid in this your conversation with me, but I would say something about it.
Okay.
You will understand that every organization have leaders who want to impose everything on people. Okay, what we are asking for are genuine things that would affect the lives of doctors all over the country. And then the management feels that we need to go to work by all means.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then they raise some persons to say, instead of these people to go on total strike, let's raise these boys to antagonize whatever they are doing so that we'll put confusion within them. But UPTH residents have refused to be confused. The doctor you're calling he's on his own. Actually, he's on his own, and really? I'm sure he's not even working. I'm sure he's not working. There were 25 doctors that were sponsored by the management of UPTH to write to our national body that they were not members of the Association of Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors. They are the ones telling their own 25 people that they are not on strike. So the management decides to blow it out so that it will sound like as if we are not on strike. They should bring out the attendance list and see how many people will sign the attendance. Kofi, I think you need to go to UPTH and look out for yourself. Whatever Vanguard or Punch or whoever writes is their own opinion. Our opinion here is that we are not going to work.
So, what's the whole, the genesis of this issue of a division? It's a sad one for me because I'm one of the first organizations that gave me an award in Rivers State was the National.
If you remember what I said, Kofi,
Association
today
Doctors,
when you called me, I told you there is nothing like faction. There is always in an organization there are always rebels. And those rebels are usually the tools of the oppressors. So in UPTH, this period, in UPTH, we happen to have some rebels that the oppressors actually decided to use.
Your account is too low for this call.
I was afraid we were going to run out of airtime. I'm going to get back to him again. So he's calling them rebels. It's an interesting choice of words to use. I want to know, but I'll call him back. My sadness is because one of the first bodies to give me an award in River State was the National Association of Resident Doctors. I have a whole. I think I need to display my awards here so that it can beautify the table here. But let me just show this to you. Look at this. This is right here. It's a National Association of this way. Okay, this way. Of Resident Doctors in University of Port Harcourt. I believe, is it? Okay, so yeah. University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. So this is way back in 2013. It's so I hold the ARD very close to my heart, and every time a new ARD president comes on board, whether it's strike matter or whatever, I try to give them opportunity to air their views. I'll push them hard, though. I'll ask them questions and all that. But I try my very best to. Okay, we're having some. Let's see if Dr. Amadi. Hello, Dr. Amadi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I was just telling my viewers and listeners that one of the reasons why my heart, is really down. It was down when I heard about a bit of a split, is because, in one of the first bodies to give me an award in Port Harcourt, River State, when I came in 2013, was the ARD UPTH. So what's going on, please? Because I'm sure I've met you physically before. I'm not sure. Maybe we passed.
Kofi, you met me when I was SCG President, University of Port Harcourt.
When you were what?
I'm sure you will remember when I was SCG President, University of Port Harcourt.
Oh.
I think you were working with Nigerian Info.
Yeah, you were SCG President, Uniport.
Can you remember the year that militants came into the university?
Yes.
That period, I guess that was when we met.
Yeah, that's some time. What year was that again?
Sir?
What year was that again?
I think it was 2009.
Okay, 2000. Okay. Anyway. So what's the genesis of this whole issue?
It doesn't have a. Will I say it has a genesis? The genesis of the issue is that the management decided to be ambitious. They wanted to control the association, and so they found people who are willing to destroy the association. And
people who are willing to destroy the association.
Yeah, who are willing to destroy the association, and they found them. Maybe probably gave them some money, and they were trying to do their bidding for them.
Really?
So, but like I said, just a little time, we are going to get over this one.
Okay, all right. So is this a warning strike or is this the major strike? The main strike, rather.
This is the main strike. In 2 weeks' time, if the government does not respond, we will take out our COVID-19 isolation doctors.
This is serious. Okay, we'll follow this issue up. We will keep the tabs on this, give it as much publicity as we can. Also hoping the federal government will do the needful, because actually they need to do what you're asking them for, and we'll keep publicizing.
Okay, I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm saying we'll be monitoring activities and the development to see what happens, and hopefully the federal government will accede to your demand so that you can get back to doing the important work that you do. But we'll get back to you and let's see what happens. Let's hope that they accede to your demands. Dr. Amadi, is there anything you'd like to say finally before you go?
Okay, I would just say that you should stay safe and then stop talk to the federal government and leave the doctors alone. Thank you.
Okay, but I didn't want to take your time, but for instance, in the United States of America, doctors didn't go on strike when they had no PPE. They begged for PPE. I want to read from Al Jazeera. This is in April 2020. It says U.S. doctors, nurses on the coronavirus frontline beg for critical PPE. I read, PPE shortages across the U.S. may have led to doctors and nurses getting sick and in some cases dying from COVID-19. I'm seeing a health worker holding up.
I read those write-ups.
I'm seeing a health worker in America holding up a placard. We need PPE. If we're at risk, patients are at risk. This is in Bronxboro of New York City. But they didn't go on strike, Dr. Amadi.
Let me tell you what happened there. There are isolated centers that had those problems. What I mean is, like in South, you have like one hospital in River State that does not have enough PPEs, while others have enough PPEs. Then the doctors will come out and now protest to that effect. Not when an entire country, Kofi, it's even shameful to say. It's very shameful to say that we are in a pandemic. Everybody in the world responded. Only Nigeria is not responding, and we are going on strike.
But Dr. Amadi, it's not isolated. It's not isolated. I've read about it. I've seen it. Hospitals are overwhelmed. It was an issue to do with even Donald Trump. Even Donald Trump and Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, had a face up because of PPEs and then ventilators.
The issue with the ventilators started early. in United States did not have enough ventilators at the beginning, but they went into their factories and produced ventilators for their people. They had they had time to do all that. The period they didn't have enough PPEs was that very early period when they were ill planned for COVID-19. But after the early period, after March, they had enough, and I can tell you that they still have enough right now.
Well. This is
Nigeria,
no. So this is in April, just after March. It says hospitals overwhelmed. When healthcare workers are sick, it not only puts a strain on individual hospitals but the entire system. It says so. It talks about a particular doctor. It says emergency rooms are overcrowded with COVID-19 patients, nowhere to go. They all languish in the hallways, stretchers lined up like video game Tetris in this giant emergency room where you really can't get from patient to patient, blah, 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 blah. He says they are packed like sardines, coughing on each other. And he says we don't have PPEs. You're only as strong as your weakest link in terms of your protection. He says about the importance of having complete set of PPE, which include a surgical. Which include a surgical gown, gloves, eye protection, or face shield, N95 mask, or other type of respirator mask, and hair and ear cough recovering. And however, the doctor says on top of this, he and other health workers should ideally have a powered air purifying respirator and the Tyvek hazmat suit. You know, in neighboring, there's a lot of places here. Now it says, not just in New York, elsewhere in the country, doctors and nurses are preparing for the onset of COVID-19 cases to hit the hospitals in the coming week. Okay, Dr. Susan Noach. Okay, so, I'm just going to say says a particular doctor in Charleston. The first one was New York. This is Charleston, South Carolina. Okay. Has joined this Dr. Susan George Noach has joined forces with other doctors and nurses and administrators at the hospital to start planning for possible PPE shortages and strategizing how best to conserve what they have in stock. So what is happening? Doctors in abroad are looking for creative ways to protect themselves and help themselves, even contribute money, so that they can provide critical care to people because they feel the people need the help. They can't abandon them at this point.
If only you know how much I've spent for N95, you will not believe it. From my own purse, just to protect my own self. This is 4 months or 3 months after COVID-19 started. You are talking of America that was overwhelmed.
Dr. Amadi, how much is an N95 mask?
N95, the one I bought last month was about $3.5 each.
And how many have you bought?
$3.5 each. $3.5 each. And I'm supposed to use one in a day, even if I will have to reuse it over time.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
Kofi. Okay. So you can imagine living, even if I use one in a week for 3 months. How much do you think that amounts to? That's almost a half of my 1 month salary. Kofi, I think you need to ask the government critical questions. Those are the people you should go hunting.
Okay, what about hospital management? What about hospital management? Isn't there something?
Somehow, if you look at it, some hospitals the management is poor. But if you look at it grossly, you will understand that the hospital management is also under pressure. First, you should understand that we are running a free medical care situation here in Nigeria. If everybody pays for their health care in UPTH, nobody will come there. Do you understand, Kofi? The federal government is still running a free medical care.
Dr. Amadi, I've been in UPTH several times. If you don't have money, they might not attend to you beyond the emergency phase.
Patients, as compared to how much they are taking, they are collecting from the patients and the services they are rendering, patients pay actually less than 20% of their healthcare.
Even with the surgeries and all the things, I paid for every single thing, down to gloves, down to toilet roll.
Okay.
I paid for everything in the hospital.
Let me tell you. If you go to a private hospital to do a cesarean section, do you know how much they take from you? Some take 400,000, 500,000. But in UPTH, you can do it within 100,000.
And you're saying 100,000 is very low.
I'm talking about the surgery itself.
Dr. Amadi, there are some surgeries. There are some surgeries in UPTH that cost higher than other teaching hospitals. In fact, a lot.
No, I'm not comparing UPTH with other teaching hospitals. Okay. I'm telling you that the patients that come to teaching hospital pay 20% or less as compared to the health services they are rendered to, even if they don't see it as adequate.
So are you saying hospital management doesn't make
if everybody
money?
If everybody, let's say government withdraws the salaries they pay and they put in all the salaries into the hospital management IGR, definitely these patients will pay very much than like 5-6 times more than what they pay in the hospital. So my point is, even the management, they are also in coma somehow, if you ask me.
Really?
They are confused because they don't have enough money to run the environment. Everybody is just under pressure. And yet, some set of people stay in Abuja and then drive big cars, renovate the National Assembly with 127 billion, even if we renovated it 4 years ago. Do you know what 127 billion can do to the hospitals in Nigeria? 127 billion. Oh God. Kofi, please, the people you're supposed to tell these things. Just go and meet them and ask them this critical question.
Dr. Amadi Solman.
Leave the doctors alone.
Dr. Amadi Solman, I want to thank you very much for your time. I'm sure people are better informed about.
You took more than 30 minutes.
I'm telling you. We apologize for that, but I'm sure you enjoyed the conversation. We'll keep the tabs. We'll come back to you on or before 2 weeks. And let's see if the government would respond. We'll put this information
in 2 weeks'
out
time,
there.
we wouldn't be talking. Okay, by then the faction team has stopped.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a fantastic night and a weekend as well.
All right, you too.
All right. His name is Amaury Solman, Dr. Amadi Solman. He's president of the Association of Resident Doctors in West Report Hacker Teaching Hospital. One or two of you had asked to call in. I think particularly Dr. B. Briggs. Feel free to do that, sir. I don't know if you're still awake because it's past 11 p.m. But if you can, please feel free. But I like those of you watching to please share this post. Please share the post so that those on your timeline, even if they don't see it tonight, they can see it tomorrow morning. Okay, so please share this post and like my page, and of course hit the notification button so that each time we are live, you can follow. Irene Obuzo is back. She says at least the health workers in the US had PPE at the beginning before it ran out. That's true. That's very true. She says in our situation, they provided next to nothing right from the beginning. We have a call coming through. Okay, this might be a Briggs. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Wow. Hello, good evening. Okay, I cannot hear you, so please call back, and I'll be very glad to pick your call. Don't know what the problem is there. Okay, so Irene Obuzo says, at least the health workers in the US had PPE at the beginning before it ran out. In our situation, they provided next to nothing right from the beginning. Okay, the call is coming through again. Network is a problem here. Sincerely apologize for that. I'm sure we'll get that sorted out as soon as possible. Please try. Okay, let's see if this will work. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, please. Who do we have on the line?
Okay, yes. Can you hear me now?
I can. Who's on the line, please?
Okay, this is Vincent Oganekewe.
Oh, Vincent, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Please
Yes,
go.
good evening.
Good evening to you.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
You know, to continue to see a recurring decimal as far our health sector, those that are manning our health sector is concerned.
Yeah.
I mean the resident doctors. Just from month to month, year to year, we keep on hearing that those who are to take care of the health needs of the population are going on strike. Not for any other thing, but because the government is not paying due attention to their welfare and to the health sector in general. You know, it's something that is really unfortunate. Now, when COVID-19 shocked us, I personally made a visit to University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital.
Okay.
You know, to observe, you know, if we are saying that, you know, people are being arrested for not keeping to the rules and regulations, you know, for the prevention of COVID-19. So what is happening in the, you know, teaching hospital, in our public health system, so that at least if the public come in contact with that environment, then they should be able to know the seriousness. Do you know that there was next to nothing? In fact, I walked into the main entrance of the building, then walked in, climbed up and came down, just ran the whole place. It was only one doctor. That I saw. I mean, at the height of it, in fact, that particular period, there was lockdown, but people were allowed to access UPTH. I personally, yes, I went there to check things out myself. Only one doctor was putting on nose mask.
Only one doctor. What kind of nose mask was it?
I think it was actually a surgical nose mask. This one that looked like a sky green. Just one doctor. And then I actually have a lot of doctor friends there, both the ones that we put together in uniforms, you know. And then I try to find out from them, you know, apart from their personal protective equipment, what about some other things? For instance, if you go to the banking hall and some other public places, you see washing hands, sanitizer, and all the rest of them. Please go to EPA and find out if we have these things at strategic locations. The situation, the way we as a population, not just the government alone, because now look at the person that is heading that teaching hospital, for instance, was just like me and you. But today is the end of that place. Like you guys taking note of, make mention of how much how much our health institution charge the public, you know, for the health services they render. I'm telling you that it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money compared to private health center, a hospital where maybe in a week they have 5 to 10 persons that come in for major medical treatment. But go to EPDTA, the place is flooded. In fact, you have to be in the queue to pay money at the cash point, to the point that they have to establish car port at different points. Like there's a bank in the hospital there that provides this cash withdrawal service and what have you. You know, and you know they have to provide cash points at a different point around the building itself. And it's not because the what is it called? The bank have a lot of ATM to install around the place, but the pressure, you know. So I don't know. I don't just understand. Then you now go to the government itself at the center. What are they doing? Go and look at our budget. Go and look at our budget. People need to be healthy for them to contribute economically, you know, to contribute positively to the economy. Indeed. Then we are saying that salary is not much. Look at the minimum wage. Even my workers in my office, I can't pay them 30,000 naira. I'm ashamed to pay the least person in my office 30,000
because of the way the economy has become. Yes,
then you are talking about somebody who's supposed to be a father having responsibility, 30,000 naira. We are talking about what just happened this year. We are not saying that it has been like that for ages. Now that our currency has lost its value, and then what happened? Go to UPTH, go to other health facilities and see how people are dying. Then you get that money before you breathe and say, okay, I just need to pay my landlord. you hear that one of your neighbor is late, one of your relative is late, you need to get the person buried. So now what am I trying to say? Our government are simply, they simply don't know what they are doing. Because they will, if our government know that, they will know that if they pay attention to critical sector of the economy, they pay attention to education, they pay attention to health, a lot of our problem will be solved. I mean, a lot of our problem will be solved. Yeah. Please, they should give the resident doctors what they need to carry out their services effectively to the public.
You know, one would have thought, my brother, that now that we have, coronavirus and people can't travel out again, that would have been having some people were saying, oh, thank God for coronavirus, because it's making the government, contribute more into healthcare, and even the rich Nigerians are coming out to contribute some money for healthcare. But it seems that the money, I'm asking myself, where is all this money that's being contributed, billions of naira, where is it going? The billions that have been contributed so far, what have they used it to buy? I've been asking myself, what do you think? Okay, I think we have lost, maybe it's a network issue. Okay, we've lost this call. Anyway, I'll get back to your messages now. Let's see who we have. We seem to have lost this call. Okay, let's remind you it's Late Night Talk. I think it's a network issue. Yes, it is. Okay, if you can squeeze a call through before we go, that'll be fine. But if not, you can see who will care for you when you're there. These are American doctors. They're not striking, but they just had a peaceful protest. Patients before profits. This one says, don't send us to battle without weapons. Get me PPE. This must have been somewhere in New York City or New York State. This one says, we need PPE. If we are at risk, patients are at risk. Okay. So this goes to buttress the fact that a lot of medical doctors, health workers, this one says, even nursing students know that's not how to use PPE. A lot of health workers went on peaceful protests in the United States. You can see they're using their bandanas there to cover their nose because they don't have the surgical masks. Some had to use creative ways to create their own goggles, to protect themselves and all that. So it's also happening there. The only difference is that they are not going on strike. But of course, like Amaury Solman has said, they had the equipment, but they ran out of this equipment. Not because the government doesn't want to give them, but because of maybe bureaucracy. So our situation is different. Over here, the government is just being negligent, if you want to use that word. I'd like to read Amaury Solman's message completely before we go. She says, at least the health workers in the United States had the PPE at the beginning before it ran out. In our situation, they provided next to nothing right from the beginning. Only the treatment centers were provided for. Only the treatment centers were... Okay, this is unacceptable. I have not received a single face mask as a health worker since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria, and that is not okay. It's unfortunate, Irene. Julio says, I bet Corona is a good scam. Okay. Irene says, the government should at least make an effort. I should not have to provide something as basic as a surgical mask for myself. I totally agree. It's quite unfortunate. Like I asked, where is all the money that has been donated to the federal government? Where has all the money gone to? Where's all the money gone to? We hear billions of naira here, billions of naira there. Someone was saying, why equip isolation centers in stadium with makeshift things? Why not just go and build structures in the hospitals or, in the hospitals? Most of the hospitals have large expanse of land. I don't know. Health care should be a priority for every government all over the world. Health care. It should be a big priority for governments all over the world. And like Dr. Amadi Solman said, we're having billions of naira being budgeted for the renovation of the National Assembly. But I blame all of you who are sitting down on your hands and just, we should all rise up and demand for these things. We should go on the streets and say we will take it no more. Instead of sitting at home and just allowing the doctors go on strike alone. These are the basic things we need. Why don't we have basic health care in Nigeria? Guess what? When COVID-19 ends and then they open up the airspace and they can travel out, they'll travel out and abandon the citizens. And we'll all keep quiet. We'll just keep quiet and we'll just continue moving on as if nothing is wrong. You know, provision of basic healthcare is a very important, a basic thing that any government anywhere in the world should do, and it's not happening over here. But we're all keeping quiet. Doctors are going on strike, and they give them something small, they go back. But we all should be holding government to account. We all should be rising up and going out and shouting at the top of our voices, demanding that the government does the right thing. And the ARD, the doctor said it rightly. He says they're budgeting billions of naira to renovate the National Assembly. They're budgeting billions of naira to build other unimportant infrastructure. But the healthcare that should be provided for the man or the woman in the village, the one in the city, the baby, the pregnant mother, the child that is unborn, nowhere to be found. Why? You know, I saw some data, an article some time ago, which said that some important person, is it the king of Saudi Arabia or royalty in Saudi Arabia or somewhere in the Middle East, in the Gulf, came to Nigeria to be treated in the 70s, I think 70s, at the University of Ibadan Teaching Hospital. They came down here. But today the reverse is the case. I tell you what, in the 90s, I had an Indian friend. He was an academic, an university lecturer, whose brother-in-law came to Nigeria from India. He is a medical student, medical graduate, came down here to stay with his brother-in-law and the family. Wanted to practice medicine. But they rejected him because they said they could not show his certificate, verify him. But he had authentics. They had to really scrutinize and take him through a whole process. Today, we are going to India for medical tourism. These things can't be happening in a country that has so much wealth, and we're sitting on our hands and allowing it to just go like that. We need to hold government to account. My name is Kofi Bartels, and that's been Late Night Talk for today and indeed for this week. God bless you. I'll return on Monday. Please share this post wherever you are and invite your friends to like my page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter. Good night.